Welcome aboard the AM show. Time now for my blunt thoughts, and I've titled them this morning, Heavenly Promises with Hellish Outcomes, Tax Withdrawals and Loose Talk, Ghana's Elections Saga. Ghana 4, I'll take you straight to my slides this morning because as it's political season, maybe you can call it crazy season, our politicians are saying, some of them, anything just to court your votes. And I'm not saying that those I'm about to address are necessarily those, but I'm saying that some of the promises being made, honestly, we have to assess them. We have to dissect them. We have to get surgical with them and find out the MPP is saying this, the NDC is saying that, Alan Chemating and others. Cheddar said he would connect the sea from Kumasi to, you interrogate that and it doesn't make any sense. Oh, we'll give you phones, 1 CD, 2 CDs. Doesn't make any sense. The former president, we'll do a number of these things and create jobs in IT and coding. So let's get critical, let's get surgical, because that's the only way we can push these politicians to let us know exactly what they have planned. And that is why today, as part of what I'm going to be doing ahead of the elections, I am going to start from here. So the NDC's Youth Manifesto launch, key educational promises. The former president says, and the NDC is saying, no academic user fees for freshers at the tertiary level. So level 100s, no, AFUFs. And they have explained that it's tuition, which is about 2,000 cedis per student, right? Free tertiary education for disabled students, private SHS and free SHS, beds for all, and then enhanced student loan. I'll stay here and just tell you this. Those I fundamentally agree with. In principle, free tertiary education for disabled students, I support that. I completely support it. They are at a disadvantage. How can we give them a leg up? I support that. Bed for all policy, I support that. An enhanced student loan so that those who struggle can get more money from there, pay their way through, and then when they work, systems in place so that the state can recoup what it has invested. Now, when it comes to private SHS and free SHS, yes, we've heard calls by CHAS, among others, but the question is, most of these people taking their children to private institutions can facilitate, they can take care of the fees. From where I sit and what I see and what I know, if you disagree with me, let me know. So why extend it to that level? I mean, there's the public system where the masses go. Why let it go private as well? In enhancing it, will we not be falling into the same trap that the IMF spoke about? That our free SHS has not been properly coordinated. I don't know. I have my problems with this angle to the conversation. Now, this bit about no academic user fees for freshers, right? It's a good idea. But again, will the families of the level 100s going to 200, 300, and 400, for example, will they be better off? Will they be any richer when they move to those levels after level 100? So what then will change? It could become like free SHS, where we've made it mass, free for all. Everyone is in there, the rich, the poor. If it's not properly stratified, structured, it could be problematic. It could be problematic. It would be as though we were taking the diseases of free SHS and infecting or infesting our tertiary education with it. We should be careful with that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but how sustainable will it be over time, for example? That's one thing to contemplate. Now, if we go to our next slide, then you would see the explainer. 250 million cedis is what has been targeted by the NDC to facilitate this. The next slide will give us the breakdown. Next slide. The number of students, we know it hovers around 125,000. The cost per student, like I said, 2,000 Ghana cedis. If you put that together, the total cost, 250 million Ghana cedis. How are they saying they will explain, they will fund it? So if you look at the Get Fund revenue, 2024, the projection 7.93 billion Ghana cedis. The projection in 2025, 9.91, 2026, 11.5, 2027, 13.3 billion. So they see a pot that they can tap out of. And if you look at, for example, the 2024 Get Fund distribution from the second cycle institutions, 1.5 billion. Tertiary got 1.09 billion. So you are basically taking a quarter from here. 800 million for basic education. Others securing 332 million. The debt servicing 88 million. And then MPs 68 million for their own purposes as far as education is concerned. Next slide. Now, if you look at the free SHS budget, because you have to factor all of that into the pool, Get Fund, among others, and they have spoken about uncapping, yes. But if you look at it currently, you're looking at an average of 1.95 billion from a low of 0.4 billion, somewhere between 2017 and 2018, all the way to a high of 2.95 billion around 2023, and now dipping to about 2.75 billion. Next slide. So if you look at it in that context, it is doable, but under an IMF program, under excruciating economic circumstances, would it be the best way to go? Can we sustain it? I always say that if you want to do something, it may be good, but can you sustain it so that it stays? As for education being free, from nursery, kindergarten, all the way to the tertiary level, some places have it. But if we want to execute it, what is going to be the plan? Let's not have another free SHS problem at the tertiary level. It could be problematic, very problematic. Food for thought. But from there, I want to talk about taxes. And I've spoken about some of the promises being made by, political parties, especially the main ones, the NDC and the MPP. Now, there has been talk about scrapping the e-levy, the former president, the COVID-19 levy, and betting tax. I'll say this, I'm not a betting man. I never do this. I don't bet. I don't know what the future brings, but I don't bet. I find it difficult. You say people don't have jobs. Some of them are struggling. Yes, there are rich people who also engage in betting. Yes. But I go around the Nima, Newtown, Pig Farm, and other places. Go to some of the other areas. People don't have jobs. This is what they do. What bread? What Tim Fifri? I in the betting. No. Yes, you say, oh yeah, he's also done some work. Why do you have to tax this as well? Another 10%. What do you want? And what do you even use the money for? You see, it's not so much of we've taken the money. What do we see them using the money for? Look at our roads. Go to a hospital, you'll not get a bed. It's so maddening sometimes. So this, I think it can go. This COVID-19 levy has never made sense to me in the first place. We are raking in quite a bit of money from there. But why should we still be paying for the COVID-19 levy? And again, how much have they used our money for? But this one, the e-levy, while I have wanted it to go, what we are raking in from there, I think we should tread cautiously in terms of, we'll take it. Because if you take off all these tax handles, go to the next slide. If you take off all these tax handles, you would realize that you are slowly getting into a position where you may have to introduce other ones through the back door. So let politicians be careful. If you look at the taxes to be scrapped, the lost revenue 2025 to 2027 will amount to that, 27.9 billion Ghana cedis. Next slide. Now, if you look at the breakdown, COVID-19 levy is giving us 13.91 billion between the 2025 and 2027 period, 2 years. Or better still, 2.5 years more. 8.27 for the e-levy, 5.1 billion, that's 10% withholding tax on betting. So I feel our politicians should tread cautiously on this matter. But I want to wrap with some of the inflammatory comments that have been put out in recent times and say that Ghana, let us shine our eyes and stay away from violence. Don't do violence for any politician. Let their children go and do that. They send their children abroad and they want you to go and do nonsense. And I'll see some of you typing, I'm sorry, nonsense when we are doing shows for your benefit, your future. Some of you foot soldiers, MPP, NDC will be typing nonsense, sending it to us. Oh, this one is this, that one is that. Your future, you don't know. Me, at least, I have got somewhere on the educational ladder. God has been gracious to me. You are struggling somewhere with one CD bundle and you are speaking trash. Your future is on the line. Your children's future is on the line if you don't know it. So follow politicians. Now, April 2023, at the MPP's Unity Walk, Eastern Region, Brian Champon, he's someone I meet all the time. I wouldn't call him a friend. He's an acquaintance. I like him. But some of the things he does and says, I don't know. It will never happen that we, the MPP, will stand on a platform to hand over power to the NDC. If the NDC dares to resort to threats, violence, and imprudence during the 2024 election, we will demonstrate our strength. What kind of strength do you mean? What strength is that? We will show them that we are well prepared. Prepare to win the electorate over. Don't prepare for anything else. Next slide. Then March 2024, MPP Unity Walk, Eastern Region. Last year, I stood here in Impraiso and said that whether NDC likes it or not, they will never win the December polls. And therefore, the MPP will not hand over power to them because they cannot win the elections. How can you even speak like this? In a democracy, no matter your intent, he's come out to clarify, oh, I didn't mean. Why would you say something like this? Why? Looking at our political temperature. If you cannot win elections, why do you want power to be given to you at all costs? Next slide. Then, again, so we will do whatever it takes to win the elections. We're a political party that has pastors, imams, and traditionalists. So whatever means we would take to win the elections, we would do so. Burn the sea, if you don't understand. We'll win and continue with our good works. I don't know. Opa Akoshipo. Opa Akoshipo. Even, it's not even the best of temperate language to use. But you have imams, you have traditionalists, you have Christians. Unless you mean they are going to vote for you, I don't see how else they can help you. But the responses, which is where I'll end, the NDC also comes in. And this is what I don't like. Fire for fire. Do you want the country to burn? We just observed when Brian Echampo, attempted to take over the hotels and we intervened. And now he dares to say he will not hand over power to former President Mahama. Next slide. I have a message for him. On December 9th, if the people vote for John Mahama and your MPs, if he is truly a man, let him refuse to hand over power and he will see what happens. When iron meets iron, you will see fire. We don't want any iron. We don't want any fire. You politicians, please, leave the masses out of your halabaloo, your nonsense that all of you play. Leave us out of it. Let's save Ghanaian children. Sometimes both of you. The Peace Council responds, there is nothing wrong when politicians make statements that they are optimistic of winning an election because no one goes to an election and hopes to lose. As long as they do not cross the line, the red line. And Peace Council, this is where sometimes the red line has been crossed many times. You say you are doing stuff backdoor, but is it enough? By threatening to use the police, the military, or other means of violence. We saw 8 people die in the last elections. We shouldn't get there again. Then, this is where I'll end. The Most Reverend Matthew Jamefi, Catholic Bishops' Conference president, says, why is it that during every election time there is tension? Why? NDC, MPP, MPP, NDC, why? And you destroy the peace of the entire country, making us anxious. We are all sitting on tenterhooks. Hey, how is it going to go? How will it be a smooth transition and all of that? Why do we have to go through all these shenanigans every electoral cycle? Because you, especially the MPP and the NDC, foster it for whatever nefarious reasons. We are very concerned because when tensions build up and it is not controlled, then ultimately it explodes and we all suffer. And I keep saying, these politicians who come and sit here, how many of them have seen anything in terms of strife? Me, when I was very little in Nigeria, my family saw it. In Liberia, I saw it with my own eyes in Monrovia. Liberia has still not recovered, even up to today, to what that place used to be like. So let's watch our language. These politicians, a lot of them have seen nothing. Asemba says, yeah, they will japa and leave the rest of you here. Use and don't work for selfish politicians. I'm speaking today to young people. Look at the number of NEETs. Not in education, not in employment, not in training. My name is Benjamin Akako. These are my blunt thoughts. Sometimes I get so livid, even with the very people you fight for. These are my blunt thoughts shared with you, raw, hot, and edited, undiluted. God bless Ghana and make our nation great and strong.